Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is soultribemama, aka Jessica. I am a soon-to-be mama of 5. I have 4 babies, pregnant with number 5. I love doing pregnancy and motherhood and postpartum and newborn content. So being pregnant for the 5th time was a shocker at first, but now I absolutely love it. I've always been one that's been super excited about pregnancy. I always love being pregnant, minus the normal aches and pains. I'm not saying that have this perfect pregnancy or anything like that. I do love it, and I always want to be able to share that with all of the mamas that watch my channel, in hopes that you guys enjoy your pregnancy journey as well, because it is a very tiny part of your lifespan that will go by in a flash. And it should be enjoyed for the miracle that it is and for what you and your body are doing. And one of the biggest things when you get pregnant is picking a name. And a name for your baby, it's a very important thing to do, a very special thing that you and your partner and maybe even your family and your kids would get all involved to name this new baby that's coming into this world. But it can be really, really hard because when you put 2 different people together that have had 2 different lives and you're making children, and one person has a list of names that they love and the other person pretty much hates every single name on that list because either they had an ex that was that name, or they had a friend that's not a friend anymore, or they have a friend that had a kid. Like, there's somebody had a dog named that and they don't want to name their kid after a dog. Like, there's so many reasons why people fight over names and why it takes so long. And I have to be honest with y'all, by the time we had our 4th kid, my last son Knox, we almost left the hospital with this baby not being named. Now, we had actually picked out the name Knox and Wyatt, which his full name is Knox Wyatt. It wasn't one of those like you said the name and you just knew, like it clicked and you just knew this is it, this is the baby's name, I know it, you both know it, you decide on it way ahead of time. It wasn't one of those things. I mean, I remember the nurses coming into the room and they kept asking, are you ready to do the paperwork? We'd be like, no, we don't have a name yet. We think this is what it's gonna be, we're not sure yet. And it ended up being Knox Wyatt, and I have to say, we probably should have known that from the get-go, because it was the one name that just kept popping up and kept being talked about by other family members that loved it. But he is definitely a Knox for sure, and Knox Wyatt just fits him perfectly. This 5th baby, now that we have found out that it is a girl, which is always good to find out the gender so that you can kind of decide from there if you have separate lists for girls and boys. I do have 4 on this list that are unisex, but to be honest, I feel like that's everybody's opinion. So technically every name on this list could probably go for either gender, depending on how you read it and how you see it and how you say it and how it flows out of your mouth and in your brain. I think it just depends. Nowadays, a lot of names are interchangeable. So I've never done a baby names we love but we're not using video before. This is the first one on my channel, so I hope you guys like it. I've had a lot of people request this video, so I think that was really cool. Even this baby, we are still not set on a name 100%. My kids, they have been involved with naming this baby as well, and the one name that all of us just keep talking about, I'm pretty sure will be her name. I will not reveal that until we have the baby. When I do her birth announcement, I will reveal her name, because it'll probably take till then to figure out for sure what her name's gonna be. But I hope that this list helps you out if you are looking for inspiration to name your child. Since we are having a girl, I'm gonna go ahead and start with boy names first. I actually thought I was gonna have a boy again this time around until we had the gender reveal. Number 1 on my list is Wilder. And I absolutely love this name. I actually had this picked out for Knox. I think it could go either the first name or a middle name. I think as a middle name, it is completely perfect to go with almost anything. Any first name and then add Wilder, it just sounds so stinking cute. I feel like it kind of has like a rock star-ish bohemian vibe to it, if you know what I mean. Like, that at least is how I hear it when I hear it spoken. You know, a little rebellious, but not a bad boy. Wilder is definitely one of my faves, and it was the top contender for Knox. Number 2 is Crew. I feel like a while ago Crew wasn't as used as much. Now you see it a lot, especially if you are a fan of Fixer Upper and know Joanna Gaines. When she had their surprise baby, she named her baby Crew. The name kind of blew up from there. More people started naming their kids Crew. And even though it's actually more popular at this moment right now and it's used a lot, I still feel that it's a unique name. and I still feel like it is very classic in its own way, and it probably will never be out of style. I just love the name Crew. Number 3 for boys is Jet. I love this name. Again, this was also a contender for Knox. Jet, I think, is just so cool. It's a cool sounding name. Again, 4 letters. I don't know why we just tend to go towards those. They feel less formal when they're like shorter, but still fun. I think Jet is just a classic name. It's like you kind of get that funky, rebellious rock star sound, but at the same time it still sounds like a boyish name to me. It still sounds like you're having fun and it's like the playground, and I don't know, that's how I visualize it. It's actually not on my list as a unisex name, but now that I'm saying it, you could actually use Jet as a girl name as well. Number 4 is Axel, also a contender for Knox when he was born. Axel, I love. I feel like those kind of names, they're kind of like going in the same genre, more on like a rocker vibe. Obviously Axl Rose, rock star, and that's not why I picked the name, to be honest. It wasn't because of Axl Rose. I wouldn't name my kid after Axl Rose, but just Axel itself. It sounds really cool, and I even like it as a middle name as long as you can make the first and the middle name, you know, flow. Number 5 is Harley, and actually another one, I didn't put this on my unisex, but I kind of feel like Harley, I've heard of other Harleys that are girls and not boys, but for some reason for me personally, I chose Harley as a boy name. When you say the name out loud, the way that it like rolls off your tongue, to me, I always like the names that seem like they just are smooth when you say them. Like if it sounds too harsh, I had to nix them off my list. Number 6 is Parker. I love Parker. I've also heard other girls being named Parker. I am not a fan of Parker as a girl name, but again, that's just my opinion. I like Parker better for a boy, and really the biggest reason why I wouldn't use Parker is because our last name is Porter, and I just don't like the PP initials. PP, I feel like my kids would get bullied for that. And even just Parker Porter just does not sound good. I mean, it literally sounds like a porker pig. So it is on the list because I love the name and I wanted to put that out there for you guys. But for me personally, it was on my list a few times until I realized PP is the initials, Parker Porter, or like Penny Porter or Pippa Porter just didn't sound right to me. Number 7 is going to be Declan. I think Declan is so unique. I've heard of other Declans, boys and girls. I've never heard that name before until the era of social media and Instagram, and I know of 2 women that are named Declan, and they are my age or a little bit younger than me, not by much, and I'm like, man, I've never heard this name before, but I love it. But for me, I definitely like it better for a boy's name, but again, this is my opinion. But I just feel like it is very unique, but not so unique it's like out of the box, but also still like a classic name. I don't know what it is about it, but it just hits all the boxes, you know, uniqueness, classic, a little bohemian, a little different, but still just a cute, easy name. Because that is another thing too, is I know people love to play around with spelling, and I do think that sometimes that is really cute, but most of the time it's like we're really just making it harder for our kids. As they get older, they have to literally spell their name constantly to other people to get them to spell it right. Sometimes it's not too bad if it's just a letter here and there, and so I do like Declan because I feel like it's very straightforward. You kind of say it how you spell it, no issues there. Okay, number 8 is Finn. I love Finn. I almost tried to figure out a way to put Finn in as a middle name for my last baby and even this baby girl, because I just love, there's something about that freaking name, y'all, like Finn, and not being Finn being short for anything else, just Finn, F-I-N-N. I love it. I just love the way it rolls off the tongue when you say it. I think it is just very timeless. And again, it could go both ways, but I also feel like Finn is a great middle name. It is just really, really good, easy middle name that could go with a lot of other names. Ugh, I don't know, y'all. I can't even explain that one. There's just something about it. I love that name. Number 9 is Rebel. Again, if you can kind of tell, especially for my boys, that theme of more like musical, rock star-ish, artistic names. Rebel is definitely in there. I love that name so much. Also contender for Knox. When we were looking up names and writing them down, Rebel was on that list. To me, that was a unique name. It's not traditional, it's not out of the box, but at the same time, you don't hear Rebel a million times. You know, I've heard Rebel a handful of times for girls and boys, It's just a good name, y'all. And again, easy to spell it like you say it. No issues there for my kids. And then number 10 is Ryder, and I like R-Y-D-E-R spelling for that. Again, I think this name was perfect as a first name and a middle name. It goes both ways. It would really flow well with a lot of other names as the first name if you choose Ryder as the middle name. Just a cute, fun, cool boy name. I picture my little country boy riding his little pickup truck out in the field, the little battery powered one, just looking cute and cool with his glasses and his hat on. I don't know, Ryder just is, I love. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I only have 4 on my list that are unisex, which again, I know I've gone over these boy names and realized now as I say them out loud that a lot of those were also unisex. I probably could have made them all. This is a unisex name video, but the 4 I knew for sure for me personally would be unisex if it was a boy or a girl. First is Atlas. I feel like Atlas, again, super unique, not too out of the box, at least not in my opinion, and could go both ways. Now, I personally had it on my list for girls. I know that I love the name Atlas. I don't know what it is about it, y'all. The life that I've lived, I don't know an Atlas. I've never met an Atlas. That's one of the reasons why I gravitate towards it, because I feel like that makes it unique, not knowing that many people with that name. And I'm sure, again, all the names that we think we don't hear a lot of, all of a sudden they blow up and you hear them everywhere. But Atlas is definitely one of those that I just feel like it rolls off the tongue and it's just super cute. Number 2 is Navy. Could go both ways. I definitely had this on my list for girl. My husband could not agree with me, and this was a big top contender for this baby, for me personally. Navy was up there on that list, y'all. I love the name Navy. It just flows. It sounds so cute. It's a little bit masculine, but not too masculine. It also seems girly to me, especially if you put it with a sweet, frillier almost middle name for a girl, then and say it together. It kind of like just flows and makes it all perfect mixture, if that makes sense. But I do know other people have used this name for a boy. My husband couldn't get over it because of the branch of the military, the Navy, and he has a lot of buddies that were in the Navy. So to him, he was like, I just can't call my kid after that because that's what I picture. I'm like, okay, I get it. Number 3 is River. I don't think River is technically unique. It is very popular for many, many generations. Again, a great middle name and first name, boy or girl. And I think that's why it's on my list, because River was mainly there for a filler almost. Like if I couldn't figure out a good middle name, but there was a first name that I just couldn't say no to, that I just wanted so badly to work and nothing else worked, I knew that River would be in that list of middle names that I love. I just didn't know how to use it, and then it would be that one name that could flow with that first name. And then number 4 for unisex is Arrow. Arrow, again, is one of those that I have never heard before. I don't know anybody named Arrow, and just recently I started hearing this name for boy and girl. Again, for me it was on the list for a girl. Just a little different. Not too different, not too crazy or out of the box, but just a little different, a little unique. If you cannot figure out what you want your kid's middle name to be, if you look at the 3 to 4 letter names, it's way easier to find a bigger list to choose from that flows with the first name than if you're trying to, you know, some really long like 8 letter name in there and make it all flow. Usually anything that's like 3 to 4 letters is gonna flow better with whatever first name you have. All right, now we're getting to girls. Pretty much all of these that I'm about to tell you, there are 10 of them, were my list for this baby girl. A few of them were also on my list for Jade, my first baby girl that I ever had, but obviously we are not using these. A lot of them I'm very sad that I'm not getting to use because I was really loving them, but my husband just, I could not convince him, and even my kids were just not on board, so mama lost. First is Lennon. I've heard this more often. My son even has, my oldest son, he's 9, he has a Lennon in his class that is a girl. So when I brought up that name, he was like, oh, I like that name. I even have one in my class. I said, oh, do you, would you see your little sister with that name? He goes, yeah, I love that. So it was a contender, but nobody else could get on board with it. So it got nixed. But Lennon is definitely one of my faves. It is not a 4-letter name, which was surprising for me to pick. But again, I just feel like it just flows. It flows out of your mouth. It sounds really cute. There's just something about it that I just love. It's not too girly, but it's not masculine. It's like that perfect middle ground. Number 2 is Willow. I still feel like is a good, unique, classic name. Like it's been around for generations. There are plenty of generations that have used this name, but it's still not overused to the point that it seems like an old name. I guess that's how I look at it. Especially when I was naming my girls, I like more of the bohemian vibes, more flower or herb or woodsy names, that kind of stuff. I guess really just is what I've gravitated towards more of, and Willow is just goes into that category, and I really love it. I do really love it, but I couldn't figure out a good middle name that I liked enough for it to flow together. And actually I was the only one that liked Willow. Nobody else liked Willow. My husband and my kids were like, no. Number 3 is Harlow. I believe that this name is a little bit more unique. It sounds more bohemian to me, which I love, more artsy. It has also been around. There are plenty of people with this name. It's not like nobody has this name. But again, just the way that it flows, the way that it came out of my mouth when I say it. Even though I love the name, you know how sometimes you'll say, if you say the name enough out loud and you try to picture your baby, you can kind of tell if that is your baby's vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like every time I would say Harlow, I loved the sound of the name. I love the feel of the name when I say it, but I just felt like my baby is not a Harlow, if that makes sense. Okay, number 4 on the list is Indy. This one was a top contender for sure. Indy, I love. I still am a little sad that it's still on the list and that I can't have it. I got outvoted by my kids. This is the one baby for sure that the whole family is involved in naming, which I think makes it even more special. But it sucks because then you have more people to please and they're all voting me out. But Indy is not on the list anymore for this baby girl, but I love that name. Number 5 is Sage. Just a good 4-letter name. It's cute. It's kind of girly, but not too girly. It's great as a middle name as well, so it's good to have on the list if you can't, you know, completely decide on a middle name, but you know what the first name's gonna be. It's a good middle name. Number 6 is Cove. I definitely like that more for middle name for a girl, not necessarily a first name. I have heard it as a first name. And again, if you can find that middle name, or even if you have a great last name and you decide not to name your children with any middle names, it's just first and last, which I think is cool too. And it just flows and it sounds super cute. But I definitely had it on my list more for a middle name. The names that I was leaning towards as a first, adding Cove as the middle name just didn't flow for me, so that's why we didn't use it, but I love that name. Number 7 is Ren. Ren is another great first or middle name, a good filler middle name that to me is definitely more feminine than it is masculine, so it's the perfect name. I don't know, y'all, to me it definitely checks the box for more natural or bohemian vibes. Number 8 is Honey. It's just a perfect name. I don't know what it is about Honey. I love the name Honey. For me, Honey was definitely on the list. I love Honey. Again, good for middle or first name, but just a sweet name to have for a girl. Okay, number 9 is True. And True, I love, and actually I think it would be also another one of those unisex names that would be good for boy or girl. I definitely had it down for a girl, and to be honest, and I'm sure I'm gonna get some hate for this for people that don't like the Kardashians, but the first time I ever heard somebody name their kid True was from the Kardashian show, from Khloe Kardashian naming her daughter True. And maybe that's why I think True is, I lean more towards a girl when I think of that name, but I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, another 4-letter name, y'all. I just lean towards those for some reason. They have my heart. Again, to me, it just seems like timeless, classic, unique, but not overly weird and crazy. Another tip, y'all, especially if it's your first kid, make sure that you say those names that you have on your list out loud over and over again. And even if you have some that are flowing with a middle name, say the whole name over and over, because when you hear it out loud is a lot different than when you're just saying it in your head from writing it down. I don't know why, but it is. Like sometimes I've had names that I thought were just the best thing ever, and then the more I started saying them out loud, I was like, that's weird. It just doesn't come out of my mouth right, and it's just awkward. And for me, True was one of those. Like when I first heard it, I was like, well, that's different. Okay. And then the more I said it out loud and I thought about it, I was like, I really like this name. And so when I found out I was having a baby girl, I definitely put this on the list. Of course, it's on here on this video, which means I lost that battle. Nobody else was down with it, but I still think that is the cutest. Just such a sweet little name, True. Last but not least on my girls' names list is Winter, especially if you have a more like winter baby. If your baby is born around like December and Christmas and you don't want to do like Noel or something. And I'm not saying you have to choose winter only for winter babies. I mean, your kid could be born in August and you name them Winter if you love that name. It's all good. There's nothing against that at all. A classic, sweet, not too feminine. I wouldn't use Winter as a middle name. It was definitely on my list because I was just going more towards the like natural bohemian sounding names. And that is it, you guys. That is my list. I've got 10 for boys, 10 for girls for unisex, which, like I said earlier, there was a lot of other ones on here that I probably could have used as unisex names. I hope this helps you out if you need to add to your list. This is our 5th. My older babies are old enough to kind of understand and have those opinions. It just makes it so much more special that it's not just me and my husband picking the name out, and they get so excited. I mean, even the name that they have chosen, that they are leaning towards, they will say it all the time to me. They'll touch my belly and say it to her, and they'll say, oh, is this gonna be your name, Mama? Oh, I love this name, Mama. And that makes it more exciting for me, and it almost validates it more and makes the name picking more fun, especially now that we've had so many kids. It's like you've already gotten rid of the other names because you already named your kids those names that you really loved, and now you're kind of like, well, now what? Now I gotta find a new list of names that I've been wanting to name my kids. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up if it did and you love this pregnancy, motherhood, lifestyle content, and make sure you subscribe if you're new. I got tons more coming. Of course, if you are trying to follow along on this journey, if you're pregnant, congratulations. Or if you've already had your baby and you're just following along, I appreciate you so much. And of course, you guys are always welcome to leave me your suggestions down in the comments if there's something specific you want to talk about, or you want me to talk about or show or share. I mean, having a kid is a big deal, but you have the authority and the task of naming a human being coming into this world, giving them a name that they will have the rest of their life. It's a big deal. It can be a lot of pressure sometimes, especially if you have pressure from family, so I get it. I know, y'all, it's one of the hard parts of it, but it is also a fun part, especially when you finally land on a name and you can get customizable newborn things and banners with their name on it, you know, however you build their nursery. That makes it fun. So love you guys so much. Thanks for being here, and I will see you guys on my next one.